folks, thanks for joining me today. So today is going to be one of the gnomes that I'm doing for the gnome series. So just to let you know that I'm not going to do them back to back. I'm just going to every once in a while throw one out, and near the end of the year I'll put them all together. I'm using a rock that I made from a mold that I received from the Happy Dotting Company. If you're interested in receiving your own molds, please go to her shop. There's a link in the description below. She's got great product, and I'm telling you, I swear by it. I love it. It makes all the rocks that I use, unless they're the natural rocks that I've picked up on my own. But her molds are amazing. They have stood the test of time. I use them weekly, and they are absolutely amazing. Um, so what I did with the rock, once it was cured, I painted it with white to give it a base coat, and that was DecoArt white. And then I did the center of the stone after I got my circle drawn on with using my compass. I used lavender in the middle, and then I used just the violet pansy color on the outside, and then I sponged it all together. Both of those paints are made by FolkArt. Now, all of the colors that I use will be listed in the description below, so you don't have to worry about jotting them down while I'm talking about them or anything. They are all down there. So after the video, you can certainly go and check out what brands I use, the colors that I use, but by all means, use what you've got in your stock. I mean, make it your own. If you don't want the purple background, do a pink background or a red background, or just do it black. It's totally up to you because it's going to be your creation. So I'm just here to give you some tips and tricks, maybe some ideas, that sort of thing. Um, I'm just here to provide the inspiration that you may need to be able to do something like this. Now, I'm now putting his nose on, but I will tell you later on, I do change his nose because it ends up being, I didn't like the color, I didn't like the shape, and that's the cool thing about acrylic paint is that if you've painted something you don't like it, just let it dry and you can just paint right over top of it with whatever you want. So that's what I love so much about using acrylic paint. So after I got the gnome drawn on there, I used my General's charcoal pencil and drew just an outline like a sketch to give me an idea in proportion where I want him to be sitting. And then I did a heart. So yes, that means this is my Valentine's Day gnome. However, I am aware that Valentine's Day was a few days ago, but I just wanted to get this guy out, and was still working on him on Valentine's Day, so I couldn't get the tutorial up for you in time. But here he is now, and he's going to be one of the gnomes in my gnome series. So I'm not going to do them all at once because I want you guys to keep coming back. I want you to come and see what I've got planned, see what's coming up next, and let it just be a mystery. But I will tell you this, I'll give you a little hint, that I should be doing one a month. So that should be a good indicator as to what I'm going to be doing with these gnomes. Anyway, so yes, I painted on the heart, and the colors that I used for the heart were apple red by FolkArt and just a little bit of white to give it the shading. And I just kept working back and forth until I got the gradation of the light to dark the way that I wanted it. Now I'm working on his hat, and his hat is painted with baby pink, again, FolkArt, and I'm just painting it as a solid color. I'm not worried about shading, I'm not worried about blending, because I want to do that all later. And I want this base coat to be dry because I want the details to stand out. So that's why I'm doing it this way. And I will give you sort of a little spoiler alert. The hat color of baby pink that he is sporting right now is going to change. So you'll see why in a little bit. So I just go around, and after I had the straight lines done, I had to make them a little bit bumpy because this is a big floppy hat and it's going to have lots of wrinkles in it, lots of bags and sags. And so I had to paint some of that on there. Now, a little trick that I do that might be helpful for you is when I'm doing my base coat and I'm not going to be sponging it out, I use my brush strokes as the indicator as to where I want, like for example, the ridge of his hat that goes over his nose. So I make a stroke with my paintbrush so that stroke is there and I know where I want to put that crease. I do the same with other of the wrinkles and things like that because I'm going to be following those creases with the colors that I use for doing the shading. So it's just another, it's a little tip, I guess, that I do. You can try it out. I don't know if you've got another way that you do it. Totally up to you. But it's something that helps me and I do it quite often. And I'll be honest, I don't even realize that I'm doing it until I'm in the editing stage of looking at the video and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how often I actually do that. I don't even realize that I am. So, yeah, that's a little tip that it may help you, it may not, but take it if you want to use it, and if not, that's okay too. So this gnome, I decided he had to have a handlebar mustache because they're just so cute with the big fluffy mustaches. So I just had to do that. And so I painted that on, all gave it a base coat of white, and that's from DecoArt. And now I'm redoing his nose, getting it more of a round shape, doing a little bit of light color on the top. And all I used was Fleshtone from Delta and added a little bit of white. And I seem to got the I guess the shine on the top of his nose a little bit better than I did originally when I tried his nose before. I was actually putting a little bit black into it and it didn't work. I didn't like the color. So you can see too that his shoes or slippers or boots, whatever, I painted them pink. That's the name of the color is pink. And it's also from FolkArt. And it was not meant to be that color. It was meant to be the same color as his hat. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually going through and I'm putting on the dark color, which is the pink color. And I didn't like it because I really wanted his hat to match his slippers. So here I go. I start, using my blending brush and I start blending the new color over top. So what it is a mixture of baby pink with the regular pink, and I get this nice soft color pink. And I find that it worked actually a lot better. And that's what I love about acrylic paints. I don't know if I've already said it, but I'll say it again. You let it dry and you paint right over it. And you can do it as many times as you want to. And that's why I like it so much. So here I am now. I'm going back in with the pink color and I'm putting in more of the wrinkles and the sags and things like that. And I'm using a fine lining brush. Now this is one that I purchased. It's not one that I made myself. So I just purchased this one and it seems to work okay, but it will eventually become one of my new homemade um, fine lining brushes because it's got the nice brush point to it, and I'll just have to eliminate some of the bristles that are on it. And if you're interested in learning how to do that, I do have a tutorial on that. If I remember, I'll link it in the description below so that you can go to it and see how I make my fine lining brushes. There's also one for doing the blending brushes as well. So they're all there. I'll see if I can remember to link them in. So anyway, so yeah, I'm continuing on doing the wrinkles, and what I will do once I've got all the paint on, I'm doing it right now. I just wet my brush, and I just sort of basically soften up those lines, and I let that color sort of spread out, and then I can manipulate it any way that I want, and I get my lights and I get my darks, and then it causes the wrinkles, and yeah, it just looks great. The best way to let me know that you've liked this tutorial is by hitting that thumbs up button. And leave me a comment because I read them all and I try to answer them all as well. I love hearing from you guys, so make sure you leave me a comment. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. I post every Friday and I have new content all the time. And I do pay attention to the suggestions of my audience. So if there's something that you're interested in seeing done, or maybe a different technique, or maybe something that I've done in the past and you want to see again, definitely let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to put it on the list of all of my tutorials that I've planned. And ring the bell, because that bell will give you a notification every single time I post something new. Now, you may have noticed that I've been posting shorts. Now, what I've been doing is I'm posting the shorts the day before I post the actual video. So that gives you sort of like a preview as to what's coming. I thought that might be a nice little teaser for you guys. All right, so I've been yapping away and I've been painting away and I haven't been talking about it. So let's talk about what I've been doing. So I've done his beard. Now, I started off with, I mixed some of the pink color with some of the lavender color to give me this really soft purple color, almost like I don't know, a really light lavender. And I put that on his beard first. And then I went in with just the pink color and I put that on. And then I went in with the baby pink color and I put that in, all in the same kind of stroke. And then I went back over it with white and filled in any of the larger spots that was full of color and I wanted to lighten it up again. And this really gives a really good visual of the depth of his beard and his mustache. So now I'm painting with the pink color his little hands, and he's got little mitts on because February is still a little bit of a chilly time, and he's holding on to the heart. And I just make these as like little mitts for him and to keep his little hands warm, but he's holding the nice warm heart. Oh, I'm getting so mushy. Anyways, we'll just continue on. So I just make them as symmetrical as I can so he doesn't have one big hand and one little hand. And when that's ready to dry, I forgot one of the most important steps that I usually do every single time after the background is dry, and that's put on a glitter glaze. Because you know me, I love my glitter, love my bling bling, which I haven't done a bling bling one in a while. Maybe I should look into that. I think that's a good idea. We'll put that one on the list. Anyways, so what I'm doing now is I'm putting on, it's a Dragonfly glaze that is a shifting paint. So it shifts from red to violet to purple. So I thought it was appropriate for this particular background. However, I should have done it before I started painting this love gnome. So I have to be a little bit more careful about going around his hat and around his beard and things like that. But I definitely wanted to get a good coat on that because once it's resin, this thing shines and it glitters and it's so beautiful. And I need to have that as the background. So I do that. I let it dry. You can see that his mitts are still a little bit wet. And that's okay. So I'm going to just work around that. And I'm just going to outline everything in black. And this is the fun part because you can use your black and you can outline whatever you want. So you see that I've got his beard. It's like just a big mass of hair. Well, now is my opportunity to be able to really define which way his beard flows. And that's what I liked about redoing his beard this way. Then if you remember in the very beginning of the video, I had it all sort of shaped out with the white and everything. Well, I totally changed it because I didn't like it. I wanted to have the freedom of being able to decide where I wanted these big flowing locks of his beard and his mustache to go. So that's what I did. And now I'm just, outlining where I want those flows and locks and all that great stuff of his hair to be. So that's what I really enjoyed about doing it this way instead of having it set out the way I originally did. You can do it any way that you want. I would love to see what your rendition is. Go on over to my Facebook page. There is a link in the description below, and you can post your creations on there. If you're not a friend on there yet, or a member, make sure that you request to be a member, and then you can post all of your photos and things like that. I'd love to see you share. I also post other things on there that I don't necessarily put onto YouTube. So you may want to be interested in seeing what other things that I do, because I don't just paint on rocks, just letting you know. And then I also have my Etsy shop. So if you're interested in purchasing one of these, you can head on over there and pick which one you want to have in your household, or maybe you want to buy it to gift to someone. That would be really awesome too. I also have mystery boxes. So the mystery boxes will include one of these Lazy Susans that I use for my rock painting, as well as a few of my hand-picked choice things for just for you. And they can be like anything, like a little magnet that I've made, or I do keychains. I have other rocks that I've painted that I'll include. All sorts of different stuff that I paint and that I don't have on my Etsy shop, or that I show you on here. So that's all part of the mystery box. So head on over there and check out what I've got in my shop. And now what I'm doing, I'm just adding a couple of the white bloops there, and now just the black paint that goes around on the outside. I do also put on a gold band, as I do in most of my tutorials like this, but I didn't have time to show you. But it's the same as the other ones. So anyways, folks, there you have it. Life is what you make it. So get creative.